Welcome to a new video! Today I'm going to share with you my Salamangreat deck profile because this lovely card, Mirage Stalio, came off the list. Now before we jump right into the video itself, I want to say for the people who are waiting for the, shiranui deck profile, that I will do it next week. I just was really busy this week with some tests and stuff because my end test semesters are starting right now. So there was a very condensed week, so I wasn't really able to get to the shiranuis, so I decided to go with something very easy and fun to do that is kind of was changed a little bit because of the ban list and kind of coming back to its former glory. So Shiranui should be next week with an additional other stuff because I'm having a little bit more time to breathe next week, but that's pretty much does it for that. And the other thing I want to say is that thank you all for 2800. I really appreciate every single one of you, and if you want to help the channel as in general and see more videos like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button, give it a like if you enjoyed the video, and let me know in the comments what you think. But without further ado, let's jump right into the list itself. Alright, so jumping right into the list itself, we're going to start things off with the Salamangreats, and we're going to start with the level 3s, which I run 1 copy of Gazelle, obviously because it's still limited, the 3 copies of Spinny, and then the 3 copies of Foxy. Now, this is a pretty standard one. Foxy maybe is still at 2. I like to run 3 just because of this fact that I want to enjoy the new card coming off the list, which is Mirage Stalio. But for the just for general, you can get around with only running 2 if you want to. I think 3 is just really good. It's another level 3 extender. Basically, you don't really use this for its first effect unless, of course, you're really desperate. You're mostly using it for its second effect, which you link this off. You then use this effect to special summon itself out of the graveyard because you control a face-up card after discarding a card, which is really good. You discard any Salamangreat card and you can continue on. And mostly the card that you're going to discard is either Spinny or other of your monsters that you don't really need in the hand anyway. So Foxy is very nice for that. Spinny, obviously, you have to play at 3. You have the ability to now access to a rank 3, which is your best rank 3 ever. So you want to play this at 3 because you want to have the ability to get into that, and you want to discard this as soon as possible to give yourself the level 3 extender. And then Gazelle is just Gazelle. It doesn't really need any more introduction. It's just the best card in the deck. And then for your level 4 Salamangreat monsters, I like to run double copies of Jack Jaguar and the 1 copy of Falco. Basically, I have a little bit of debate on these. Falco definitely need to stay, but Jack Jaguar, I have a debate if either to keep this at 1 or 2, because I specifically, and I will explain why a little bit later, why I don't run Pot of Desires. I don't run Pot of Desires anymore, but because of the existence of Mirage Stalio, I feel like this card can go down to 1, because technically the card that we're going to summon from our deck is going to be Gazelle if we don't see the Jaguar, and then vice versa. So I think maybe running 1 copy of this is enough, and then the other one can be a Foul, because I don't like to run the Foul right now because I'm not really 100% sure what to cut for it. But it's a little bit of a debate what you want to run specifically in your list depending on your situation, but I feel like maybe 1 Jack Jaguar and then 1 Foul and 1 Falco should be good. I'm not 100% sure about that, so that's why I decided to still keep up to the standard stuff until we'll find out a little bit better in about 3 or 4 months to see how the decks kind of change to, fluid for me. But that does it for the Salamangreat monsters. Now for the additional Cyverse monsters, I like to run double copies of Lady Debug, double copies of Buffalo, and then 3 copies of Parallel Exceed as well, 1 copy of Backup Secretary, and 1 copy of Sea Archiver. Now, these 2 specifically can be cut down for things like Pot Desires or just in general additional stuff for Salamangreats if you feel like it. But I like these 2 specifically because this is just a great discard for Cyanide Mining or Buffalo, giving you the additional level 3 extender that you need. Even just can be summoned from the hand, which is kind of really awesome, so this card is very good. And then we have the Backup Secretary, which is a very good level 3 extender. Parallel Exceed is Parallel Exceed. Doesn't really need any extra introduction. And then these 2, I like to run 2 of each just because I want diversity. Sometimes I like the Lady Debug in hand, sometimes I like the Flame Buffalo. Flame Buffalo is definitely very good because being level 3, but sometimes Lady Debug is better because the draws doesn't really get you anywhere. It's kind of a weird thing that you want to balance these 2. Obviously, if you want to run only 3 of these, you can, and then you have another spot for anything, or 3 copies of this, you can as well. But I think 2 and 2 kind of works for me the perfect ratio. And if you don't want to play over what are they called? Cyverse extenders, because I've seen some people who just don't run these 5. You can technically run more of your traps. I don't think that's necessary. I think running more of your traps is good. and like, you know, it's pretty nice. But because of now existing Mirage Stalio, I think these are better. This is giving you more extenders, giving you the ability to build more annoying boards for your opponent to deal with, or just in general allowing you to OTK better. So I decided to go with these. I really like these, and I think they're excellent. Obviously, you can change these around depending on what you will like specifically, but I like this card really much. But that does it for the monsters, and for the hand traps, 3 Ash, 3 Meissner, and 3 Droll and Lockbird. This is the hand trap ratio that I decided to go for this format. Dealing with things like Sky Strikers and Drytrons that will stop to search. Dealing with things that I just don't want to, you know, activate their effects in graveyard and just generate a card. I actually also thought about running DD Crow instead to just banish annoying cards out of the graveyard, like Engage. But I didn't really feel like it at the end, so I think like Skull Meissner just have a little bit more higher impact, and that's why I decided to go with that. And this one is just able to deal with a lot of decks that search this format right now, even though it's like kind of changed a little bit because of Sky Strikers, but Sky Strikers still going to search quite multiple times. So if you're able to stop their Engage, like, you know, drop this after Engage, they will kind of have to go into a little bit more of a neg. I wouldn't say like neg, but like we will not like continue going like rotating Engage as much as possible for them, because you just lock them out of that. So that's kind of like, you know, force them to kind of just go into the Kagari in turn sometimes. So that's really powerful against them because they're not able to loop the Engage multiple times per turn. So I like this card quite a bit. And yeah, that's the reason for these hand traps. Of course, you can change these up to personal preference, but at the very least you want to run 9. I technically run 12 because I also run Imperm, but Imperm is in the trap section. And that's pretty much does it for the monsters, as you probably can see. We're jumping into the spells immediately, because this deck doesn't really need a whole lot of introduction. 3 copies of Silent Mining, double copy of Circle, double copies of Will, and then the 1 copy of Sanctuary. These are the only spells you need. Technically, you can run things like Monster Reborn, you can run things like Pot Desires, but I want to be honest with you, this is all you need, technically, right now. Because of the existence of Mirage Stalio, this is technically all you need. These are 4 Rotas, this is Monster Reborn, and you only need 2 of it because it's a harder once per turn, or Soul Charge, depending on the situation. And then this card is just the cards that you search with your Bellionix, which is really important. So these are all you need if you want to. You can run more like Desires, like I said, like Foolish Burial, like Monster Reborn. I don't think you need more. These are all what I found necessary. Again, I'm going to say this right now, you have 5 cards or so that you can cut down in the additional Cybers stuff, but I think these are all you need, and that's why I'm going to go with them. And then for the traps, 3 copies of Imperm, 1 Rage, and 1 Roar. Honestly, I felt like this is all I need. Because I don't run Desires, I only need to run 1 Rage and 1 War because, you know, most of the time I'm just going to be able to get into a Gazelle because of Mirage Stalio existing. So I felt like 1-on-1 is all I need. And even if my opponent kind of like stopped me, I have 12 hand traps to battle with them anyway. So I felt like just existence of 1-on-1 of this is all I need. Of course, this could be changing depending on, like, you know, your depending on your side and other stuff. So just change things depending on what you feel. Sometimes I like the second copy of Rage or the second copy of Roar, but most of the time just 1-on-1 is good. And also, I'm just going to say to you right now, turn 1 or game 1, you want to use this more often. In the later games, you want to use this more often depending on your side deck. So it's kind of like depending on what you have specifically. But that's pretty much does it for the main deck. Now we'll move on into the extra deck. And for the extra deck, I have obviously the standard Salamangreat lineup for extra deck, with the addition of a bonus friend, obviously. Triple copies of Bellionix, triple copies of Sunlight Wolf, double copies of Hit Leo, and obviously our new resident boy, the 1 copy of Mirage Stalio. Honestly, I don't really think I need to explain any of these 3. These are absolutely mandatory in the deck. This one just searching for you your field spell and its protection in the graveyard. This one is if you summon something to its link, it's able to recycle for you a fire monster, which can technically, funny enough, can be a funny card that stop your opponent to search. So yeah, you can technically recycle the Gazelle every single turn, or Ash Blossom. It's really depending on your hand and depending on your plays. So this card is very, very awesome. And then if this card is link summoned by itself, basically, you know, the the Sanctuary's effect, you're able to use this card secondary effect, which is giving you the ability to recycle a spell and trap for Salamangreats from your graveyard to your hand. So you're able to just recycle things like Roar, Rage, or Circle back to your hand, which is pretty good. And then Hate Leo is OTK stuff. Honestly, very good card. And then Mirage Stalio is something out of your deck. It's pretty awesome for that reason. Completely. And yeah, I needed to move it like that because there's so many cards here, so I needed to move this a little bit. But that's pretty much does it for those. And then for the additional rank 4s that I run for the additional plays, 1 Baguska, 1 Abyss Dweller, very good with Pearl Exceed or Jack Jaguar or whatever level 4s that you have. This can lock your opponent out the graveyard, very good. And this can, like, you are a Link deck, you don't really care, you can summon this. This is kind of like stupid, so I like these cards very much. And then lastly, Phoenix, Jammer, Transcode, Firewall. I don't have, access code, so I'm proxying now with a Firewall. It's still very good, but if you have access code, definitely run that. Access code is basically going to be available for everybody a little bit more easier, I believe in like around 2 months. So yeah, if you have access code right now, play it. If you don't, Firewall is still a very good secondary option, giving you the ability to bounce card or just like have a good Link 4 just in general. You can also run like the Boral Sword or whatever, but I think these are pretty good, and you don't want to lock yourself into Cyvers. Like, you want to have the ability that if you lock yourself into Cyvers specifically, you can still use effects, so that's why I decided to go with the Firewall. But these are all really good. Phoenix is absolutely ridiculous. Spell and trap removal. And if you're able to summon this under Sunlight Wolf, your opponent cannot remove the Sunlight Wolf by battle, which is kind of like really cool. So yeah, this is kind of like a very annoying card. And yeah, I like this card so much. It's so stupid. It's just very annoying to your opponent to deal with, because sometimes your opponent doesn't really want to use removal and just going to try to run over the Sunlight Wolf, and they're not able to because this just protected. So that's kind of cool. OTK and just an additional replacement for, access code. But that's pretty much does it for the extra deck, and does it for the deck profile as a whole. Honestly, there aren't really a whole lot of things to explain here. I might actually like a little bit like going over stuff a little bit too much, because I also need to remind myself how this deck functions. It's been a while, but I still really like this deck quite a bit. And yeah, that's pretty much does it for the deck profile itself. Let's move on into the combo section. Welcome to the combo section, and in the combo section, I'm going to share with you 3 combos, basic combos for Salamangreats that I think are important for you to know if you want to play the deck again after, Mirage Stalio being back and all that stuff. So, basically, for this combo specifically, you only need the 1 copy of Spinny and 1 copy of Foxy to basically start your plays, which allow you to end up in a pretty good standard end board for Salamangreat, which is was a little bit harder and require a little bit more setup because we didn't have Mirage Stalio before. But now let's get started with this combo. So starting things off, we're going to normal summon the Foxy, and then we're going to not use its effect, because if you use its effect, you're not able to use a second effect, but you want to link this off immediately to make up the Bellionix. Bellionix allowing you to add to your hand the Salamangreat Sanctuary, and then we're going to activate the Salamangreat Sanctuary, which allow us to have the requirement for a second effect of Foxy, which is discarding the Spinny, and then special summon itself out of the graveyard, and then we're not going to activate its effect to pop spells and traps, because otherwise we would have to pop this. So we're not going to do that, and we're just going to, have this on the field. Then Spinning effect can trigger, because you control other Salamangreat monsters, special summon itself, and then you're going to exceed these two into, obviously, Mirage Stalio. Mirage Stalio will detach any of the materials, it doesn't matter which, and then we're going to summon directly from our deck the Salamangreat Gazelle. Gazelle will activate its effect to send one of your traps to the graveyard or any card that you need for the situation. Most of the time in standard plays, I just like to send Rage. That's when we're going to do that. And now we're going to link these two specifically. You want to link these two to summon your Sunlight Wolf into your extra monster zone. Then we're going to use the Gazelle to summon the second Bellionix, which then will add us the Gazelle back to hand by the effect of Sunlight Wolf, and then we're going to link away the Sunlight Wolf to summon another Sunlight Wolf, which then will allow us to add to our hand the Rage, and then we'll be able to set up to our side of the field, giving us an additional, basically 2 pops, with the additional 3 cards that we have in our hands that could be hand traps or whatever. And that's pretty much does it for the combo itself. And one thing I want to explain specifically is that why I used Sunlight Wolf, like, after I used the first effect for this, is because I want to free the zone for this if I will find myself continuing off with the cards in my hand that can special summon themselves. I can special summon something in the next turn or whatever if this board survives, or because of the fact that I don't want to give my opponent, if they're playing like kind of like a weird Mech Knight engine or something, the advantage that we'll have two cards in the same zone. It's kind of like a weird thing, mentality playing around Mech Knights right now, but it's still very important sometimes to think like that you need to play around Mech Knights, and that's why I decided to go like this. But that's pretty much does it for combo number 1. Let's move on into combo number 2. So, for the second combo would require these two cards. Again, would require Spinny, because like I said, Spinny is a very, very important card. It could be any other card specifically, but for the making things a lot more easier, we're just going to go with Spinny. And then the other card that we're going to have in our hand instead of the Spinny is going to be Silent Mining. So we're going to start the plays off by discarding the Spinny for the effect of Silent Mining to add to our hand the Gazelle. Now, specifically to people to understand is that Gazelle doesn't need to see the Spinny being sent to the graveyard, because it works in the same way that what are called Darkness, Diablos, and Multifaker works. So technically, you don't have to see the card. And honestly, like for this combo specifically, you can technically just normal summon if you're just like doing it for yourself. But in this particular combo, I just want to show you how strong this is, even without normal summoning. So basically, you're able to special summon the Gazelle because of the, sending the Spinny to the graveyard, even though he didn't see it. And then we're going to send the Rage to our graveyard because of the effect of Gazelle, and then we're going to use the effect of Spinny to special summon itself. Then we have two level 3s, obviously. We're going to make these two into Mirage Stalio, and then we're going to touch any of these as a material to then special summon from our deck the Jaguar, which I don't remember. There it is. I put it a little bit on the side. Then we're going to special summon directly from our deck the Jaguar. We're then going to use Jaguar to summon the Bellionix, which allow us to add to our hand the Salamangreat Sanctuary, and we're going to activate it, and then we're going to use these two to special summon the Sunlight Wolf as before. Then we're going to use Jaguar's effect immediately right now to shuffle to your extra deck the Mirage Stalio, so you can use it in a later turn and special summon itself out of the graveyard, and then that will trigger the Sunlight Wolf effect to give you back the Gazelle to your hand. Then we're going to link this off, and we're going to make a second copy of Sunlight Wolf, which then will allow us to add to our hand back the Rage just like before. And that's pretty much does it for the combo itself. You're then going to set up the Rage as and then you're going to have this in your hand, and this is on your field. Now, of course, you can technically turn this into a Bellionix before you summon the Sunlight Wolf here, but I really don't see the reason to do that. It's kind of like wasting a resource, because this is bigger, and technically, like I said, you did a normal summon, so if you draw into another, level 4 extender, you can normal summon and then make this into the, for example, rank 4 of your choice. Even though it cannot activate its effect per turn, you can still summon an Abyss Dweller and then just have it activate during the opponent's turn, so that's the reason why I'm doing that. Of course, it's really depending on the rest of your hand, but this is kind of what you're able to reach with 2 cards, which is pretty impressive. But that's pretty much does it for combo 2. Let's move on into combo number 3. So for our final combo, I'm going to share with you the standard kind of old combo that we had before, which is the standard Lady Debug combo, which require Lady Debug plus either Spinny or Gazelle. And since Gazelle is at 1, I'm just going to go once again with the Spinny. Like I said, Spinny is a very important card right now in the deck itself. But now let's get started with the combo, and we're going to, first off, normal summon Lady Debug, which will allow us to add to our hand the copy of Gazelle that we have in our deck. And then we're going to link the Lady Debug into Bellionix, which is pretty standard. Then we're going to add to our hand the Salamangreat Sanctuary, and then we're going to use Spinny's effect to discard itself, which then will trigger the Gazelle to special summon itself out of your hand and Foolish Barrel to your graveyard the trap or card of your choice. Then we're going to use the Spinny's effect in Grave, special summon itself, and before I forget, I'm also going to activate the Sanctuary, and then we're going to use these two to make your Mirage Stalio. Mirage Stalio's effect will detach specifically the Gazelle this time, actually, because you want to get Gazelle back to your hand, so we're going to detach Gazelle this time. I kind of like needed specifically to remember that, because in this particular combo, actually, Mirage Stalio is going to stay on the field, and then we're going to use the effect of Mirage Stalio to summon from your deck the Jack Jaguar. Jack Jaguar plus Bellionix equal the lovely Sunlight Wolf. And then we're going to basically use the effect of the effect of Sunlight Wolf to actually link this off again into another Sunlight Wolf. Then we're going to use Jack Jaguar effect Engrave, shuffling the Sunlight Wolf into the deck, and then special summon directly from the graveyard the Jack Jaguar under its link. And then adding back to your hand the Gazelle, and then adding from his effect back the Rage, which then you're able to set to your side of the field. Now, in this particular combo, you're probably asking me why I didn't really play around Mechanites as it did before, is because for this particular combo, you don't really have another resource that you want to shuffle directly from your deck, because the other resource that you have in your graveyard left is this. So if you do that, you kind of like losing a protection, because this card is supposed to protect your cards in the graveyard. So that's why this is the more ideal end board to go with. And you still have Mirage Stalio on the field, because if this board survive in any shape or form, and this is on the field, this is another special summon from the deck, and you also have the Spinny as another follow-up, which is pretty good, just like before. This is a pretty standard way that Salamangreat works. They're kind of like doing the same things over and over again, and it's kind of a really fun and very, very cool and a very easy deck to learn. But that's pretty much does it for the combos themselves, and now let's move on into the next deck choices for you guys to choose from, and ending up the video. Alright, so for the next deck choices, honestly I'm just going to bring those that I have from last week, because apparently I think nobody kind of like voted or paid attention to these. Basically, these should be from last week: the Fluffles, the Blue Eyes, the, I forgot what its name, Time Thief, and forgot what's the last one. Basically should appear on screen. I don't remember the last one from the top of my head. I don't know why. But the point is, these four options, once again, are available for you to choose from, because nobody really kind of like pay attention for this week. It's kind of understandable. But, you know, I want to share these regardless. And these should come up after Shiranui again, as well as, like, I'm going to throw additional decks I have in my mind, because, well, I got a new order of cards, so I'm able to put things together and update stuff or make new things that I might want to share with you. But that's pretty much does it for the video as a whole, and does it for, you know, everything. So if you enjoyed, please, once again, consider to like the video and subscribing to the channel if you want to see more. And remember, creativity is the key in this game. Have a good day, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.